Vlog number 24, November 6th, 1708, day 6. So I did make a video yesterday since I wasn't feeling very good. I had a bit of a headache and migraine and or slash whatever. Felt pretty creative though. I could still do like stream of consciousness stuff. So I wrote in my Forge and Infinity novel series for a bit. And but yeah, I couldn't really concentrate or think. It just hurt my head. But anyway, I'm back. Yeah, so the U.S. elections just happened. They're going over all the answers as I record this video. So I figured, why not talk about the quality or value or whatever you want to call it of glory. What is glory, and why do so many people want to get glory other than, oh, it makes me feel great? Well, glory, there's different ways of looking at it. There's, of course, the materialistic way of looking at glory, which is just simply what the senses can see. So it'll just see glory as, oh, I have all of these materialistic objects, and if I have all of this quote-unquote worth that people say is worth, in our case, usually being some form of currency made up of rectangular pieces of paper, then you'll be considered glorious because you have a lot of quote-unquote worth, you have a lot of public esteem, you're recognized, you've got honor, so on, so on, and so on. What they don't seem to understand is glory in the spiritual world is kind of a different thing. It's not really about glory of the materialistic life, but it's more about the glory of your soul and the actions that can be taken to have that glory of the soul radiate outward. It's like an invisible light that people can just sense as they walk by you, at least for those who have the quote-unquote eyes to see it. So the light that allows the soul to show itself, this is something that is not as well known, and I'm going to hopefully try to explain this the best I can. So ultimately, what allows the soul to show itself is through truth. If you live by truth, and if you live by your own truth and not deceiving yourself because people tell you to, or tell yourself lies because it's more comfortable that way, because then you'll be accepted by the masses, but instead you live by your own truth regardless of what people tell you, that is something that is essentially a check mark, as in you're doing a good job on your heavenly score sheet. Because that way, you're actually not lying to yourself, you're not betraying who you are, you're living yourself as you actually are. That's really the first step of it all. And that is one way to have your soul shine in its glory, is doing that. And sharing that truth with other people is another thing, because if we share our inner light with other people, what will happen is, of course, the law of manifestation, that light will come back to us eventually. And this is a great way to bring that light to us. And by living in such a mode, we can actually express our soul as we really originally wanted it to, instead of feeling boxed in by all of society's rules and regulations and what's expected of us. So there's some fear there of, oh, well, if I do this, what society would just like denounce me, ignore me, right? Well, yeah, there's always going to be people who's going to denounce and ignore you. I mean, that's pretty much a given, regardless of where you're going on earth. But there's also people who will recognize you and acknowledge you too. And that's the important thing to remember, is that, you're not alone per se, because while your experience is could be considered a form of aloneness, you are not alone, because there are other people who will acknowledge you. That's a important bit to remember there. So, yeah, and the thing with honor is, a lot of people, they like to go onto the world stage and say, I'm doing all this for you, please honor me, But we've come to a point where so many people, they're told all these things, and without doing any sort of research or investigations on their own, they just nod their heads and say, oh, yep, I'm going to believe every little thing that this person is saying because I don't have to think for myself, do any research on my own, and it's just all 100% correct. This is incredibly lazy. This deserves no respect at all, frankly. It's essentially willful blindness or willful ignorance. Deserves no respect whatsoever. Something I learned in life. And the glory that they may seem to have, right? The people who go on the media and or just any form of media and just basically just say things like sweet little lies that people may crave to hear even though they're not the truth. It's just like, this is a false glory. It's basically putting forth a deception that this person is glorious and trying to make people think that this person deserves the glory when they really do not. And this all came about because people just simply nod their heads whenever they're told somebody's going to do something and don't even, investigate it for themselves, whether they're actually going to do it or not. Which is pretty sad because people just give people glory who don't deserve it in the first place. And then, of course, society just starts to slowly crumble top down because of it, because of all this lazy thinking. And then when things get horrible, then people tend to have the inclination to try to sweep this mistake of theirs under the rug. They don't want to be seen as being wrong in their decisions. So they try to sweep it under the rug, and it just keep propping up these people who don't deserve the glory that they're getting. So ultimately, what it comes down to is what I call following the right spiral, or following the right train of thought. And a lot of people, when they follow these spirals, they just think they're going the wrong direction. They're going one way is the wrong direction, one way is the right direction. But oftentimes, the direction they're going in, they think is the right direction, but in reality, it's the wrong direction. And other people, they may see the opposite. They see them going the wrong direction. And then the people going the wrong direction are nodding their heads saying, yep, this is the right direction, even though they're going completely the wrong way. So perspective also has a lot to do with it. So there's that too, but still, ultimately, when it comes to following these trains of thoughts, it's just oftentimes kind of sad because usually people learn the hard way from this. They follow the spiral all the way to the end, and then they're just devastated. They just can't get themselves, I guess, to say, I was wrong, I'm going to stop now and go in another direction. It's amazing how the ego hates to admit it's wrong. And egotistical societies are just basically like giant balloons that are just infinitely inflating until that perceived infinity suddenly goes away and the whole thing explodes and they're just pouting in shame. And I think that's what happened to a lot of people. So, yeah. Politics, it's a bit of a glory game, making themselves look great. That's, I guess, part of the whole thing. But one needs to really look past all the egotistical games and see whether people are going to actually deliver what they say they're going to deliver. If they're not going to, and this is, of course, depends on personal research, if they're not going to deliver it, then why give them the glory they're asking for? It's like they're not going to punish you if you don't. So why do you feel forced to give people glory they don't deserve is the big question, because you don't have to do that. No one is forcing you to do that. The only thing that's going on here is you think you have to do it for some reason because, oh, maybe I'll get in trouble or something. Yeah, I better do what the boss says. So now this goes into worshiping the state and whatever it says, which is frankly a whole nother video that I may or may not do in the future because too many people worship the state. And it has become incredibly problematic because the state is apparently perceived by these people as some godly parent who will constantly look after them, and so they don't question what they say. Terrible, terrible perspective of reality. Awful. Because the government here serves the people, okay? We don't serve the government. That's what it goes down to. And that's reality. That's reality whether people like it or not. So then, at least supposed to be. Anyway, that's about it for this video. Yeah. Thanks for watching and have a good day.